If you still maintain that Jesus arrived to establish the Christian faith, you have been misled. If you assume that the canonical Gospels represent the entirety of the Bible, you have been doubly deceived. The reality is, Jesus revealed a covert tradition, one that was suppressed, outlawed, and systematically incinerated by the ruling authorities. He never commanded, "Adore me." Instead, he instructed, "Achieve what I embody." And the Gnostic Gospels, those prohibited writings, lay bare the precise meaning of that mandate. You were not meant to stumble upon this video, but your discovery signifies that you are at last prepared. For once you assimilate these 10 obscure tenets, your perception of Jesus will be irrevocably altered. Perhaps your perception of yourself will change just as profoundly. If every assertion you were taught about Jesus turned out to be the exact opposite, would you possess the courage to investigate anew? What if the theological Jesus promoted by the faith is fundamentally different from the actual Jesus of truth? What if the Church crowned him sovereign to conceal the fact that his arrival was meant to catalyze the awakening of sovereign beings? We were told his mission was to rescue us. But what if he came to remind us of this? You are not corrupted. You are not incomplete. You have merely forgotten. You have forgotten the luminous essence that formed you, the inner sovereignty you carry, the intensity that once blazed within your soul. And this was the authentic message, the one they interred beneath material wealth, moral obligation, and trepidation. It is not a doctrine rooted in guilt and transgression, but in divine recollection. When Jesus proclaimed, "I and the Father are one," he was not asserting cosmic superiority. He was presenting you with a reflection. The deeds I accomplish, you shall also accomplish, and even greater. But I ask you, when did any religious institution last remind you of this potential? They could not. Because if you comprehended your true nature, you would cease bowing. You would begin ascending. And this constitutes the primary hidden doctrine. Jesus' purpose was not to be revered. He came to re-energize the spiritual awareness that organized religion worked hard to suppress. He did not seek subservient followers. He sought reflective surfaces that remembered their origin. For here lies the sacred enigma. He wasn't merely directing attention toward God. He was revealing what the divine looks like housed within a mortal form. And if you've ever pondered why his message was considered so subversive, it is because it abolished the intermediary. No need for clergy, no need for ceremonies, no more barriers standing between you and the eternal. Only this remains. Go inward, quiet your thoughts, and recall. Yet power invariably fears the awakened individual. Consequently, Rome seized the key and fashioned a restraint. They confiscated the route map and marketed a confusing labyrinth. They took the truth and transformed it into a symbol of authority, instructing you that God existed elsewhere, distant, wrathful, and observant. But Jesus made an audacious declaration. The domain of God resides within you. Do you grasp this? He did not intend to found a religion. He intended to terminate the delusion of separateness. Therefore, if his aim was remembrance, not veneration, then who are you truly? And if the identical divine vitality that inhabited him still pulses through you, why do you feel so alienated from it? Could it be that they concealed the truth, not within a tomb, but within your very being? This is merely the commencement, because in chapter 2 we delve further into the teaching they feared most. That heaven was never a final destination. It was a vibration, a level of awareness, an underlying structure. And when you learn how to access it internally, you will realize you were never excluded. You were the access point all along. Let us open it. They taught that you journey to heaven after your life concludes. But what if the greatest deception was claiming heaven existed somewhere else? What if you don't travel to heaven? What if you become it? Because Jesus never stated the kingdom of heaven will materialize when you die. He stated, the kingdom of heaven is within you. This was not figurative language. It was technical instruction. It represented the fundamental mechanism governing reality. Heaven is not a future event. It is now. Not a distant celestial monarchy, but a dimension concealed within your very respiration. Heaven is a condition of congruence, a recollection of one's source, a frequency of divine merger vibrating within the spirit. And the gateway was never located in the cosmos. It resides beneath your ribs. It was in your central column, conveyed through your breathing, in your stillness, in the quiet interval between thoughts. This is the labor required to calibrate the instrument of the self until it resonates with the fundamental frequency you never genuinely abandoned. But this terrified the empire, because if you grasped that heaven was not a recompense but a profound realization, if you knew you could access it instantly without authorization, priest, or monetary transaction, you would never again yield to another's authority, and you would cease petitioning for paradise and begin to emanate it. Heaven was never the reward. It was the inherent force, a domain of luminous comprehension, a vibration your soul is already acquainted with, a sovereignty whose entrance opens the moment you recollect your identity. But they revised the narrative. They maintained that heaven was remote, that you must merit it, that you are too tainted, too unworthy, too mortal to contain it. So they erected external temples to make you forget the temple residing within. But here is the second forbidden teaching. Heaven is not a place you journey to. Heaven is what awakens when you discontinue the search. It is not an award for righteous conduct. It is a reflection for the mindful. It commences the moment the internal conflict ceases, the moment you stop accepting the lie that you are separate from the divine. And this explains why Jesus communicated through metaphors, because heaven could not be rationally explained, only experienced. It is the invaluable pearl, the treasure hidden within the land, the banquet prepared but ignored by the populace. So let me pose the question. Have you ever contacted it in silence, in moments of deep splendor, in inexplicable tears? Didn't an inner intuition confirm that you had never departed, that the sacred garden remained accessible, that throughout this entire time you had been seeking entrance to your own sanctuary? Heaven is not reserved for later. It is now. It is here. It is what you return to when you discard the noise. So let them persist in selling the promise of the ethereal. You came to manifest heaven here. But if heaven is already contained within you, what prevents your access? If you continue to carry shame derived from a narrative written before your birth, then their efforts have succeeded. Because the most ancient falsehood ever told was that you are fundamentally flawed. But what if sin was never a moral defect, but merely a lapse of memory? What if the soul was not condemned, it was simply obscured by forgetfulness? And Jesus did not arrive to rectify you. He arrived to remind you. You were never created fallen. You were created radiant and subsequently instructed to avert your gaze from your own illumination. You were taught to kneel before external altars, but never to ignite the one within your chest cavity. Because here is what they will never voice in a sermon. Sin does not define your truth. It is the scar resulting from forgetting who you once were. They informed you that the spiritual collapse began with Eve. But what if it was not a collapse, it was the initial act of remembrance? What if the serpent was not malicious, but a symbol of awareness? What if Eve did not commit the first transgression, but opened the first insight? Because the fruit was not poisonous, it was consciousness, and consciousness has consistently posed a threat to centralized authority. Pause. Close your eyes. Not to offer contrition, but to recollect. Do you perceive it, that luminescence behind your ribs that is not remorse? That is the return. What if the darknesses you feared were merely the light you have not yet faced? What if your entire presence here was not to be rescued, but to recall the reason for your arrival, because deep within your being, you have borne reverberations, memories, you cannot articulate profound desires that do not belong to this specific incarnation. And the instant you inquire why, you begin recalling your previous journeys. But if you have experienced previous lives, where have you been? And more importantly, why did you return precisely now? Here is a truth the Church excised with clinical precision. Jesus was aware of your previous existences. He referenced the reappearance of Elijah. He asked, "Who do people say that I am?" Not because he required the information, but because you once possessed that knowledge. The early Gnostics understood this. The desert mystics whispered it. The soul does not merely visit Earth once. It cycles. It acquires knowledge. It recalls. They condensed the divine message into a fear-based single lifetime confinement. But Jesus was a spiritual expert on the soul's extensive rotation. He taught that existence is a learning environment, and the physical form is a garment that is exchanged. So why keep this hidden? Because a soul that recognizes it, has lived before and will live again, cannot be intimidated by a single termination. And a soul that cannot be intimidated cannot be controlled. Reincarnation was not considered heresy by early followers of Christ. It was standard knowledge. And the journey did not commence at birth, nor does it conclude at death. It persists until the internal illumination is fully reclaimed. You are not merely one lifetime old. You are an entire archive wearing human skin. And your presence here in this moment is no coincidence. You are recalling because the timing is right. You did not click this randomly. You arrived with past timelines preceding you and a mission to retrieve something essential. But if your soul selected this specific juncture, what is it you came to repossess? And if Mary remembered this truth too, why was her message suppressed? Now let us dismantle another foundation. If Peter represented the solid foundation of the institution, Mary was the flowing source of truth. She was not a courtesan. She was the initiate, the one who grasped Jesus not superficially, but intrinsically. And that deeply unnerved the initial leaders because her doctrine, the Gospel of Mary, did not advocate subservience. It advocated gnosis, direct internal realization, unmediated revelation. No intermediary was required. She referred to him as the Eternal One. He referred to her as the woman who possesses understanding. She was more than just a woman. She was the custodian of the forgotten lineage, the one who held the serpent's insight and the genesis of first memory. But power structures could not permit the sacred feminine to speak with equal authority, so they buried her under falsehoods, but not deeply enough. Because now her influence is resurfacing, not from elevated platforms, but from deep within your own spirit. And if you have felt an urge towards sacred wisdom that surpasses institutional religion, that does not demand adherence, but invites recollection, it may be her resonance stirring awakening within your very structure. This is more than a stopping point. It is a threshold. And if you have crossed it, like this video, to illuminate the path for others still searching. Write, "She is rising," in the comments, not for our sake, but to activate the echo in the collective field. Subscribe not for additional content, but as a commitment that you will no longer forget. You are not merely interested, you are summoned. Now let us proceed, because what follows next transforms everything. But if Mary recalled her essence, why do you still feel so detached from yours? Perhaps because something ancient has kept it hidden from you, and it is not a diabolical entity. It is something far more subtle and considerably more perilous. What if Earth was not the focal point, but the mirror image? Plato understood this. Mystics understood this. Jesus demonstrated this. Then this dimension is not my domain. He stated not due to rejection, but because he remembered what lay beyond it. This physique, a temporary covering, this dimension, a theatrical stage. But your origin is not of this world. You entered it as light enters a reflective surface, and everything you perceive is a distorted image of something superior, purer, more genuine. That lingering discomfort you have always carried. It is not clinical depression. It is nostalgia for home. You have consistently sensed that this world was not an exact fit. That is not inadequacy. It is memory seeping through. And the more you remember, the higher you ascend. Because the truth is, this realm was never intended to complete you. It was designed to initiate your awakening. The suffering, the splendor, the loss, each functions as a clue, each a quiet affirmation. You originated from light, and you shall return as pure energy. But only if you stop misinterpreting the reflection for the source. Because you were never dispatched here to assimilate. You were dispatched here to remember. They presented you with a childish villain, red skin, horns, a trident. But what if the genuine adversary was not a creature at all? What if the true obscurity was forgetfulness, not demonic control, but separation? Because once you forget your origin, you will accept any fabrication about your destination. They did not need to physically confine you. They only needed to cloud your memory. You do not require an exorcism. You require recollection. Because the actual fall of humankind was not disobedience. It was amnesia. Forgetting that you were light infused with stellar information, animated by the infinite. And every distraction, every untruth, addiction, division is engineered to maintain your dormancy. They constructed temples of masonry, but Jesus pointed toward the temple of the body. They instructed, confess here. He declared, the kingdom resides within you. You were told to look upward, when the authentic threshold was inside your chest. Gnosis denotes direct comprehension. It is the distinction between reading the word water and feeling the initial raindrops on your skin. Not acceptance, not dogma, raw, incontrovertible experience. 3 essential things were stolen from you: direct comprehension, internal vitality, and autonomous light. But now each one is being restored. You do not require a lecture. You require remembrance and the ascent to heaven. It is not constructed of steps. It is constructed of revelations. Each one remembered brings you closer. So question yourself, not do I accept this, but do I recall there is a reason this trajectory is concealed? Because authentic truth is not merely troublesome. It is lethal to the lie. Jesus was not executed for being compassionate. He was executed because he aroused awareness in people. And when you awaken, you will face misunderstanding, ridicule, and even rejection. But listen carefully, that discomfort is confirmation. That friction is combustion. That opposition signals your ascension. You are not here to gain approval. You are here to illuminate the pathway. And when they attempt to diminish your light, shine more intensely, because the inner Christ consciousness does not yield. It ascends. This is the teaching they feared most. The one they interred beneath rigid doctrine, apprehension, and violence. Not because it was sacrilege, but because it possessed too much potency. You were instructed that God was situated above you, outside of you, detached from you, observing from a sovereign seat. But the mystics were aware, the Gnostics remembered, and Jesus whispered it with every inhalation. God is not a distinct entity. God is existence itself. The air in your lungs, the energy in your spine, the tranquility behind your perception, that is not simply you. That is Source manifesting in form. You are not a representation of God. You are the manifestation, the resonance, the flow, the ignition, the I am enveloped in flesh. The falsehood was separation. The truth is unity. And when you cease seeking the divine in sanctuaries and heavens, you begin to feel it pulsating behind your ribs. You were never meant to worship the divine. You were meant to embody the divine, not with arrogance, but with reverence, not to dominate the world, but to restore it. Because when you awaken the divine within, you begin perceiving it in every other person. And that is the inception of heaven on earth. So let me ask you, if Jesus became the Christ, and the Christ resides within you, what are you awaiting? You are no longer merely searching. You are returning. You are not external to the kingdom. You are what facilitates its return. This is not the conclusion. This is your ascension. These were not merely lessons. They were fragments of the blueprint concealed within you. The kingdom was never in the sky. It was buried in your breathing. You were never inherently flawed. Only a luminous being dimmed by forgetfulness. You do not require a text to locate the light. You are the light. You have traveled this path previously, felt the summoning, heard the faint voice, expired in silence, and now arisen again in recollection. Mary Magdalene knew. Jesus knew. The true conflict was never with malevolence. It was with amnesia. This world merely the shadow of your true source. You a representative of the genuine. The Christ is not an idol. It is a code of memory awakening within your biological structure. Not through conviction, but through realization. Not through compliance, but through intense spiritual fervor. And yes, this path will demand a cost from you, but only what was never truly yours to begin with. You are not awaiting revelation. You are the revelation. You are not external to the kingdom. You are what restores it to the world. This is your turning point. This is your emergence. And now you recall. The question is no longer, who was he? The question is, who are you evolving into? If something ancient stirred within you, do not permit it to return to sleep. This video encountered you for a deliberate purpose. Now allow it to encounter the others. Like this video not for personal validation, but as a beacon for the forgotten ones still navigating the obscurity. Leave a comment below, I remember. Let others see they are not isolated. Subscribe not to this platform, but to the current of reawakening in your spirit. Because this is not a routine channel. It is a profound summons. A summons to the internal sacred space, the one never constructed with material elements, but with inherent knowledge, with illumination, with your essence. The journey does not terminate here. It commences now. And when you are prepared, the subsequent insight will find you. Until then, proceed in light. And never forget your identity. You are the revelation. You are the return. Do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember?